Day 8 of the fast, 9:30 p.m. February 8th, 2024. It was a pretty rough day at work. I think it was just because I went through it all tired. I had 2 cups of coffee and it still didn't really help. But I have 2 days off. And tomorrow I'm going to definitely take advantage of that. And it was like that's my opportunity to really go in with the art, the exercise, pretty much everything. And then Saturday is my day of rest. Tomorrow is Friday, by the way, for me. Saturday I'm still gonna be doing the thing. I'm still gonna stay consistent, but I'm not gonna so much stress about learning anything new that day. Like whatever I do, it'll be just for fun. If I decide to learn something new that day, it's because I thought it would be fun. But in terms of like improvement or progress, tomorrow is the day for that. I actually did start drawing this morning. And it was like I went ahead and saw a guide that you can work on your gestures by drawing seals. And yeah, these seals, half of them aren't very good. I like the one at the bottom. Very proud of that one. But looking at seals right before work, happy just living their lives, seals, honestly set the mood for the entire day. So there wasn't really much to stress about. I just realized I haven't actually shown any of my paintings, even though you guys see them displayed back there. So tomorrow I'll show you the dry ones. I won't really, maybe I'll take the camera up to the wet one that I'm working on, but I'll show you the dry ones. They're for a little class I do. It's a little painting class, not college or anything, but it teaches me to paint, which is fun. And today I really thought about how powerful reading is, right? Because when you read, you can learn so much, which is why God encourages you to read the Bible many times over if you can. He encourages you to study it. It's like nonfiction, and of course nonfiction gives you all the knowledge. It's all condensed information, so you don't have to worry about information overload because it's all on one subject, that book that you're reading, unless you read multiple books, which at a time, which I don't really recommend. And fiction is very powerful, because when you read fiction, you're reading into someone's subconscious, because they can't help that. Creative people process the world by what they create. So even if they try to, something that they have doubts of, worried about, or even deeply love will leak out onto the page. Pretty much all art is like that, really. But reading fiction really gets you to understand a person's soul. Not only does it get you to understand a person's soul, but it helps you understand yours as well. And there was one thing that I regret as a child, and of all the things, it would be that I viewed reading as a chore. It didn't used to be like that. You know, I used to read all the time as a kid, as like just by choice, and then it started getting assigned to me and used as punishment. I hated book reports. Eventually I just stopped liking reading. That really sucks, because reading does so much for someone. You have no idea what you could learn just from reading any book, for that matter, even fiction. And like comics too, manga, whatever you're into, it's all reading. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Right? If you read manga, you are a reader. If you read comics, you are a reader. If you read written word of any kind, you are a reader. You have no idea, and a lot of people have no idea what that actually does to their brain and their spirit. I only started I don't think it's fair to say that I started reading recently, but of the books I read that I actually go through and finish, and I'm going to work on reading a lot more too, just like nonfiction and fiction. I think if you're a reader, you should have a good balance of both, because both are valuable. But reading does a lot more than we realize. And it's kind of sad that a lot of people view it as a chore now. It didn't used to be that way. So, if you're a child or young adult or adult, whatever, I encourage you to read anything, whatever you enjoy, more. And it'll help. Like, I guarantee, when you put some time into it and really actually try to think about it, try to get into the writer's or the artist's head at the time, try to think about what they were thinking, you'll be closer to yourself. And if your parents, do anything you can to try and trick your kids into liking reading. Like, just be reading a book one day, right? It could be anything. And when they're walking past, laugh at what you're reading, even if it's not funny. Smile. Exhale of relief. Like, just show a shocked and a surprised expression with a gasp of air. Just trick your kids into liking reading, because even fiction can teach us so much. A good example I have is a friend was explaining Star Wars to me, right? And all the characters in Star Wars, well, at least the Rebel Alliance, was based off of Nazis from World War I, which makes sense because at the time, the author who wrote that series lived during that time. And of course, there are a lot of messages in there that are kind of weird, but there are also a lot of powerful messages in there, right? It was like, especially what Anakin is a perfect example of what happens when Anakin is a perfect example of what happens when ambition goes too far. Anakin was praised. He was told, like, he had high expectations from everyone around him and himself. And he always wanted more because that's what he was trained to think. And later he became Darth Vader. But Luke, on the other side of that, he was actually kind of the opposite in a way. Even though he was Darth Vader's son. Spoiler alert. He was very often praised for the work he did. And also, they always humbled him. Luke was defined by his hard work, and Anakin was usually defined by his talent. And they were two sides of the opposite coin. And that's just one example. Right? If you think about dystopians, like just a dystopian genre as a whole, Hunger Games, or I don't remember the name. But like something like Hunger Games, that was a great example of what happens when a government goes too far. Or like if we put all our faith in the government and they kind of take over, kind of thing. Right? What happens when it's actually scary to think that we're very close to that reality. And that's why it's important to read. Even fiction. I don't care what anyone says. Fiction teaches many lessons, almost as much, if not more, than nonfiction, and I will die on that hill. And if you are a creative person, like me, you need to cultivate that as much as possible. Because you have no idea what kind of gift you've been given and what you can bring to the world when you actually bring it out. Also, like I said, that's how you process the world. If you're not creating, you're not processing. If you're like writing, music, art, all of it is a result of someone's spirit talking. Most of the time. Half the time. No, most of the time. Because that is their inner subconscious that they have to dive into to find those words, those images, both, or those sounds to tell the message that they want to tell. And sometimes things are made to be stupid. That's also true. But it's important for us to take stories seriously. Because stories are the imprint of our soul. hope you all are taking care of yourselves. God bless.